Hi, I'm Andy Webb from Be Clever with YourCash.com. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, please do hit that subscribe button, that little notification bell as well, so you don't miss out any other videos where I look at the best ways to kind of manage your money, save money, even make some money. And if you do find this video useful, hitting that like button, we really appreciate it. Really helps other people find this video, helps YouTube know what I'm telling you is useful stuff. And hopefully it will be, because what I'm going to talk about today, if you are a student, is the best bank account for you. Now, you might be thinking, well, why do I need a special student bank account? Surely any account will do the job for me. And absolutely, there are some advantages to looking at the other accounts, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But something you get with a student bank account, which you don't get anywhere else, is a nice, huge 0% overdraft. You might be thinking, whoa, hang on. I don't want an overdraft. I'm already going to have loads of debt from my student loans, from any other kind of bits and pieces of money that come in, which I'm going to have to pay back when you start earning money. Yeah, absolutely. So you don't really want to add to that debt. But sadly, even if you are getting parental contributions, even if you are working a job on the side in the summer to try and boost those things up, even if you are incredibly frugal, it's probably like that you are going to have to dip into your overdraft at some point, because university is expensive and living on your own is expensive. Now, if you can avoid it, fantastic, right? That's brilliant. And I don't think an overdraft is something you should aim to spend. It should always be there as an extra resource in case you need it. If, towards the end of the term, towards the end of the year, when funds are getting a little bit low. But it's really, really important, I think, that you have one. And a lot of the time with these student accounts, you do have to think about it up front, because it's a requirement that you only get it when you open an account in your first year. If you try to open it even in your second term or third term, or open it up in your second year, third year, whatever it is, you won't necessarily get that overdraft. The banks do all change, it's worth just checking that out. But it's worth thinking about what's the best deal I can get in those first few weeks and months of university, or even before you go along. So I've got that safety net throughout the whole duration of my degree. Now, you will have to pay this back, obviously, and that's something to bear in mind, because some of them also, when you finish your degree, they move you into a graduate degree, which will kind of give you a little bit of an extension on that, but they're slightly reducing that overdraft limit. So bear in mind that this is something, as I said, it's not a target to spend, it's there if you need it, because you're going to have to start paying this one back as soon as you graduate, really. Not all of it, but it's most of it. When you graduate, some of it will have to start coming back. And within a year or 2 years, if you don't clear it, you're going to start getting charged interest on that overdraft. And interest rates can be really, really high right now. I've done a whole video about how to avoid, how to clear the cost, bring down the cost of these overdrafts, where you're getting charged maybe 40% interest. A huge amount of money. That's more expensive than credit cards and most other loans. It's a lot of money to use an overdraft if it isn't interest free. And obviously, if you have got this interest free overdraft right now and you go over that limit, say you've got £1,000 and you spend it go by £100, £200, you'll get charged that 40% on that extra money beyond that 0% period. So it's not to be taken lightly, it's not to be taken as free cash, but I do think it's probably the best thing to look for when you're looking at a student bank account. Or even if you're thinking, right, do you know what? I'm going to get a decent amount of money from my parents, or I've got a grant, so a lot of my costs have been absorbed, I don't think I'm going to need it. If you're confident with money, then an overdraft can also be quite a nice way to make a little bit extra cash. And that would be by taking that money in that overdraft and transferring it into a separate account, which earns you interest. Now, this could be a savings account. It could actually be a current account. There might be sort of terms and conditions that you have to meet in order to get that rate of interest. But they're all generally quite workable, as long as your credit history allows you, which can be a bit difficult as a student, but if you pace it out, then that might be something you can get. You can move that money. So let's say you've got a £1,000 overdraft, take it from the student account, move it into a separate account where you're earning, let's say right now, 2% might be the best you can get. Well, at least it's going to earn you some money over that year, rather than sitting there not doing anything at all. So 2 reasons there why an overdraft is really important. I think for most people, it is going to be just that safety buffer and just making sure they're very careful with it. And as I'm going to say it again, I know I've said it a few times now, I'll say it again because it is so important. It is not a target. It's not something there to spend it because you've got it. It is debt. You are borrowing money. But if you need to, it is the cheapest way to do it. So that's it. An overdraft is the main reason, I think, to look at these student bank accounts. you don't really need to worry too much about the freebies. I know they're nice things to have, and a lot of the time you see these posters in the banks or online, you'll probably get social media stuff pushing you, say, hey, look, here's a free rail card, here's a free totem card, all this kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, they are nice things to have. Often though, they're not worth a huge amount of money. You're looking at sort of 20, 30 quid's worth of freebies in real terms. Some of them will be worth a bit more, and they're worth considering. I'll get to that in a minute. In fact, I'll take you through my top picks of the different accounts towards the end of this video. But I don't think they should be the main motivation for choosing a student account. I think that overdraft is the most important thing. There are some extra things that sometimes they'll try and throw at you. I mean, when I was a student, the proximity, how close that bank was to me or the cash machine to me was quite important, because you used to go into a bank much more often. Now you don't need to. You can all do it from your phone. So that's really not important at all. The other type of account I think you want to look at is actually not a student bank account. I think you get your student bank account for your overdraft, and maybe that comes with a freebie potentially. But I think for your day-to-day spending, you should be looking at getting a separate account with one of the newer digital banks, your Monzo, your Starling, places like that. And the big reason for that is because they have some really fantastic budgeting features. They're really, really useful to help you just keep track of where your money is going. And they're also quite good is that they won't charge you any money for spending overseas. Now, so if you are actually going to have a year abroad, these can be fantastic. If you're going on holiday, they can be fantastic as well. Just say if you have a year abroad, there are kind of limitations on it, so you won't be able to use it all the time, but you can use it for part of your payments and things. But again, really, really, really handy to have one of these accounts. And what I would do is I would get that overdraft, that student overdraft account, whether you've got in the overdraft or whether you've just got your money in there, your loan in there, all that kind of stuff. I would then transfer however much money you think is useful for you for the next week or 2 weeks, however you want to budget, transfer that into this new account. And that's basically how to manage your money. All your spending you'll do is from that extra account. So when you go to the bar, when you go to the shops, to the supermarket, when you're buying a textbook, whatever it might be, it all comes out of that main account. And you can really, really clearly see where the money is going. It can kind of, what's quite handy, it kind of brings together bits and pieces. So it will show you have spent this amount of money this month on taxis, this amount of money this month on going out, things like that. And it really helps you see that if you do need to cut down, you do need to kind of think, right, I'm spending too much money, see where that money's going and realize, well, actually, okay, I spent far too much money on X this month, okay? So that would be a great way, and it really will help you budget and really get into that habit of budgeting. I'm a big fan of these accounts. Really important to say though, they do not have that 0% overdraft. So you need to make sure you never go below zero. And I would say, make sure you never go below £100. And because these accounts, these apps are really good at helping you track that, that shouldn't be a problem. You can set up reminders, it's on your phone all the time. You can look at it, you can see the money coming in and out instantly. When it gets to £100, you open up the app on your other account, the one where you've got your overdraft, and then you just transfer some money over again, that new budget for that new week. But do not go overdrawn, because you will get hit with those interest fees. If that feels a little bit too much, then just stick to that student account where you know that money is all in one and you don't have to worry about different things. But I think it's a really good habit to get into, and I think a really big fan of those types of accounts. And so let's have a look now, shall we, at some of the best accounts out there. The best one I think for overdrafts, the one that I personally would go for if I was a student right now, is the Nationwide Flex student account. Now the reason for this is you are guaranteed the size of your overdraft in year 1, year 2 and year 3 of university. Some of them will only say up to. So that depends, they'll look at your credit report. Again, won't be fantastic for you as a student. You might get a lot less, but with a guaranteed one, you know, year 1, you're gonna get £1,000. That money will see you through that first year if you need it, or if you don't need it, again, that's £1,000 you can put into a savings account. In year 2, another £1,000. In year 3, another £1,000. Now, obviously, if you have a longer degree, you might want to look at a bit more detail about the different accounts, who offers what, because there might be different conditions that come into it, year 4, year 5, whatever it might be. But this one, for most people on a 3-year degree, it is the best one to go for. Now, you do not get any freebies with this one, I should say. This is purely about the overdraft. But I think Nationwide is a pretty good bank. I bank with them as well a lot of the time. They're quite an ethical banking compared to some of the other high street ones. So if you want to consider that, that's worth thinking about. And obviously you do have a branch that you can go into if you need to, phone service, all that kind of stuff. But Nationwide Flex Student, that would be my number 1 pick. After that, as I mentioned to you before, the things to think about are that smart bank, that new digital mobile bank to think about. And the one that I think is the best for you guys right now is the Monzo account. There's been a bit of speculation in the news recently. I've got a video about it, about whether it's struggling, is it in trouble? and then potentially there are some dangers with that, but I think most of it is going to be fine for the next 12 months. And obviously, if your money in there, it's going to be protected, okay? So you're not going to lose any of your cash, and you'll use this as a secondary bank account. You're only moving your money over to use it for that weekly budgeting, monthly budgeting basis anyway. Most of the rest of your money, it's going to sit in that main student account. So I would check out Monzo, and again, I've got a whole video looking at Monzo, Starling, Revolut, Monese, things like that you might want to look at in more detail, but I think Monzo is the best one for those budgeting features. Really, really easy to use, really, really like it. If you are going to go abroad, you get fee-free spending with this as well, and fee-free on the cash withdrawals, but there is a limit on the cash withdrawals to about 200 quid. So you might want to look at some of the other banks if you think you're going to spend like a whole summer overseas, although obviously right now travel is still something that's really, really restricted. Now beyond that, there are obviously other options. Now if you don't fancy the nationwide account, another option is the Santander 123 account. Now that has 1.5 grand overdraft for that first year. And that carries on for the whole time. So you get the same overdraft. So if you splash it all in that first year, spend it all, then that's it for the entire duration of your degree, although it does go up in year 4 and year 5 if you've got a longer degree. The reason you might want to look at this one over nationwide is because you get a 4-year rail card, and that's worth about 100 quid, because a 3-year rail card is worth 70, a 1-year rail card is worth 30. So let's say it's £100 that you're saving. It's probably the best in terms of value for the freebies you can get out there. And if you're going to travel by train a lot, then you might want to look at that Santander card. You also get some interest with that. You get 1% on, I think it's 2 grand that you get with this account. So if you think you're going to have, not use the overdraft at all, but have some money and a lot of money in the account at regular times, that will earn you some cash. But better, if you feel comfortable doing it, is to get a separate savings account with higher interest and move money over, so you can take advantage of that overdraft and take advantage of some in-credit interest. But otherwise, so for that freebie, it's not a bad shout. The other freebies, I've got them here. A few other overdrafts. Again, all the details, go to the blog. You can read this article with all the different accounts on there. One that might be worth looking at is this student editions from Barclays. It has this Perlego account, and this is that kind of online Spotify style streaming thing for textbooks. So you can digitally get a textbook back and forth, back and forth. That's worth £96 for a year. Could be quite useful. Maybe have a look, see if your course textbooks are on there before opening that account. Up to you, really. Worth giving it a go. You probably can't open multiple student accounts, I should just say, so you probably got one of these to get the freebie. You probably find it difficult to get more than one. Unlike other accounts, you can have loads of different ones. You probably can only get one of them on one freebie. You can also get, with NatWest, they will give you a year of Amazon Prime. However, you can get, as a student, you can get 6 months Amazon Prime for free, so I wouldn't bother with this. Just, that's a freebie, really. That's not really worth it. You're only saving yourself about 40 quid. You get a taste card worth about 35 quid instead. Lloyds will give you a Totem card, basically an NUS card. It's worth around 30 quid. It's a 3-year card. Again, I don't think they're fantastic freebies, but they're there if you want to check them out. There's a few other banks that I've talked about, but I definitely think you want to be looking at, for an overdraft, it's nationwide #1, HSBC possibly as another sort of strong option. If you're looking for an overdraft and freebie combo, then the Santander 123 student is probably the best bet. But whichever one you get, I would do for your day-to-day spending. I really encourage you to look at Monzo. And as I said, if you want to have some savings, I've got a whole nother video which I'll link to below, which takes you through the best ones out there for you in terms of really maximise the highest interest rate that you can. Hope you found this useful. Hope you found it interesting. If you can, please do hit that like button and hit subscribe if you want to get more videos every single week, 2 or 3 every single week, about the best ways, I say, to help you manage your money, save some money, or make some money. Till next time, cheers. And here are a couple more videos you might find interesting.